certainly you guys have a strong history with the trucking industry. You go back 30 years, and in fact, I just learned the other day that you guys actually have some customers that have been with you about that long.
Yeah.
Pretty amazing to think of that, but to think about the history of those types of veteran drivers that have been out there. Because what you guys do actually is trucking. I mean, you focus on the trucking industry. So these are truck drivers that in those cases have been out there for 3 decades. That's an amazing, first of all, an amazing accomplishment. But then to see all these changes, especially recently, it has to present its share of challenges along the way.
Well, it does. That fellow who's been with us for 30 years, he may very well have followed his father into the business.
Yeah.
And nowadays, the biggest challenge for trucking companies, or one of the bigger challenges for trucking companies, and for our business too, is what's happening to the pool of potential drivers, or the pool of potential owner-operators that we're also dependent on doing business with. Well, there's been a change demographically over the last couple of years as more and more, first-generation Americans that come to this country are the people that are kind of gravitating towards slots, entrepreneurial slots, like being an owner-operator, or going into driving trucks. That creates some challenges in that there are language issues that still have not been entirely reconciled. There are just habitual issues where if somebody is coming from let's just say a third world country where there are just say crazier standards on the highways that might exist here. That's something that we've all had to overcome. I mean, on balance, healthy, productive immigration is good for our country, good for our business. But it's different than the fella from Kentucky who followed his father into the business. So there's a whole new skill set that we're all adjusting to.
Yeah, because we have a pretty good learning curve here for those who have the experience here in the United States and have that knowledge with regulatory items, equipment, the different types of diesel fuel, and everything else along the way. I can only imagine the tremendous challenges that you would have, if you encompass and involve in that language barriers and everything else. Those got to be some pretty good challenges.
And with insurance in particular, we sell what is inherently a complicated product, even for the best educated among us. We're always very careful at First Guard to make sure, particularly if there's a language issue, that people understand exactly what you're buying. Because you could be saying one thing on the phone and meaning another thing in your mind. And we want to make sure that that confusion is resolved before somebody walks away with an insurance policy, so it's the right insurance policy for them. But just kind of build on that. I think the one thing that is neat about the trucking industry is that it does still create so many opportunities, particularly for those that, no matter the culture, if you're entrepreneurial minded, you can still gain that initial toehold in trucking and really excel to however high you want to excel if you're willing to put the effort into it.
And even those Ed, who are from outside the industry and maybe changing careers or whatever it might be, again, there are some issues that they kind of have to overcome, and a lot of that is about just getting that experience. We have people coming from the military or other career fields, maybe a midlife career change, coming into trucking.
Midlife crisis.
Midlife crisis. Exactly. Put me in a Harley Davidson big Freightliner, and I'm on the road with some flames on the side and the whole thing. That's me. That's exactly it. But you think about that, and we see this as a result of the downturn in the economy. That also has to present some challenges, and I guess you guys are, having in some cases to resolve some of those issues or help walk these individuals through those issues.
There are all those things that you just said. When you talk about a downturn in our economy, there's there's also kind of the negative things that go beyond just the economic downturn. It's sometimes the behavioral changes that come out of just economic survival. And of course, in our business, the downside to fewer truck wrecks is there is an increase in usually suspicious style claims involving theft of cargo, thefts of trucks, fires, and those kinds of things. That we have to adjust to too. But you know, we're big boys. We're in the business of dealing with these kind of risks, and it just goes kind of hand in hand with the nature of the business.
And again, I think we're going to see an upswing here where we believe we'll see another driver shortage in the future. I certainly won't be brave enough to put a timeline on that, but we believe that's going to happen. That's going to present its share of challenges too, as we may be recruiting again from outside the industry, or those within the industry maybe are changing jobs. They're on a new route, they're in new equipment, and of course you guys in the insurance industry know all about that and its challenges.
A big issue, of course, is what everybody's talking about, the whole CSA 2010 thing.
Oh, boy.
And what's that going to do to the driver pool once drivers suddenly, bear the kind of the governmental reporting requirements that have historically just fallen to trucking companies. You know, is that going to weed people out of the business and exacerbate the driver shortage, or is it going to just result in a higher pool of skilled drivers, which would generally be a good thing? You know, the government obviously driving all this is banking on the latter, more than likely. Well, there'll be something that occurs not so good before we reach that point.
And that's the whole point is that again, we have our share of challenges no matter how quickly we grow. Or on the other side, if we don't see that continued growth, it's going to present its challenges. But always good talking to you, Ed. Of course, the drivers, should know that you guys are there for them. They can reach you anytime.
Yes, they can. They can reach us on the web. If you don't mind, I'll do a plug for www.firstguard.com. You spell First Guard with the number 1 ST, GUARD.com. And our 800 number, 800-995-4827.
Yeah, great to talk to you, Ed, and we hope to do it again soon. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Eric.
All right.
Pleasure being here.
All right.